Okay. Today's daf is Daf Pei Hey 85 in Masechta Nedarim. We're going to start from Daf Pei Dalid Amud Beis, 9 lines from the bottom. I'm going to make it bigger in a second. I just want to go back to the Mishnah. I just want to point out to you something. I'm going to throw out a question. You know, if you have a basket of fruits, right? You have a basket of fruits, and you're supposed to give off 12%, basically. 2% of that basket you're supposed to give to the Kohen as Truma. 10% you're supposed to give to the Levi as Meiser Rishon. Now, you can decide to give it to anybody, any Kohen and any Levi you want. Let's say you have a son-in-law. Instead of supporting him, you're giving him all your Trumas and Meisers. You can do that because that's the Torah gives you the right to decide which Kohen, which Levi you want to give it to. What happens if I ran into your house and took your Trumas and Meisers that you were going to give to your son-in-law and I gave it to another Kohen? Now, the truth is you couldn't keep it because you're not a Kohen and Levi. So what I effectively have done is steal away your right to decide which Kohen to give it to. So did I steal something from you? Did I take money from you? So that is the subject of tonight's. If I took away the opportunity to you to choose which Kohen or which Levi you're going to give to Trumas and Meisers, and I stole away that opportunity from you, did I steal money from you? So there's two points over here. That's called Toivas Hanoah. Toivas Hanoah means is it money or is it not money? That's the question. That's the subject that we're going to deal with. Toivas Hanoah means the right to decide who is going to benefit from your Trumas and Meisers. Now let's see how that plays out. I'll give you a quick example. If I go to a lady and say, lady, I'm not giving you any Kedushin money. I'm going to give you the right to decide from my basket of fruit which Kohen and Levi you want to give the Trumas and Meisers to. And with that benefit that you're getting to decide who you're going to give the Trumas and Meisers to, I want to be Mekadesh you. I want to betroth you. So did she receive some value or did she not receive some value? So that's those.
Bernard, when you started out this thing that I'm giving to my son-in-law, the fact that someone stole it and gave it to somebody else, you're going to have to start shelling out for your son-in-law, and you could have given the truma. So that's stealing.
But that is only a cause, a grama. That's called. I didn't exactly steal money from you. I'm causing you in a roundabout way a loss, but it's not a direct theft. So it could be you don't have to pay, or maybe I wouldn't have to pay kefil. Normally, you have to pay double when you steal, right? So if I didn't steal anything of value, I just caused you a loss. So maybe I'll just pay for the loss. I wouldn't have to pay the double. But here, this is the way it played out in our Mishnah, and then everything comes very smooth. The Mishnah says, a man says, a guy says, Kohen, Kaihanim, Leviim, Nehanim Li. I don't want any Kohen and Levi to benefit from me. So I don't want to give my Trumas and Meisers to anybody, any Kohen. Now, really, he has no right to say that, right? So therefore, although he can give it to any Kohen, it seems the Mishnah says, Yitlu al Karchai. The Kahanim and Leviim could come and take the Trumas and Meisers against his will. So because even if they take it from him, let's say one Kohen comes and takes it from him, he didn't receive any benefit from this man because he said that I'm not going to give a benefit to somebody, and therefore when another person takes it from him, Yitlu al Karchai, you didn't give him anything. It's his Trumas and Meisers that he's coming to take. But then the Mishnah says, if I limited my neder, and I said I only want that this Kohen and this Levi, Nehanim Li, should not benefit from me. So I singled out this Kohen and this Levi. So then I can't give it to that Kohen and that Levi because they're benefiting. If I decide to give it to them, so then they're benefiting from me because I'm giving them my Trumas and Meisers, even though it's really theirs anyway. But the fact that I chose them over somebody else is as if I'm giving them extra money. So Yitlu Acherim, you have to give the Trumas Amaisus to somebody else. So what the Gemara is going to point out right over here is that there's a contradiction in our Mishnah. Let's see what the Gemara says. Mishnah says, Pedaladam Abayis, 9 lines from the bottom. Kohanim, let's just make it bigger. Kohanim, Ulviim, Nanali, Yitlu. If I say all Kohanim and all Leviim should not benefit from me, Yitlu, they could come take the Trumas Amaisrus. Because when one Kohen is going to take my Trumas Amaisrus, he doesn't even have to thank me. Even though I'm giving it to him, but Alma, we see from our Mishnah, Toivas Hanoah Ein Amamin, that the fact that I chose to give it to this Kohen, that's not worth any money. I'm not giving him any money. Because if it was worth money, I wouldn't be allowed to give it to any Kohen and any Levi. Because I made a neder, I'm not going to give them any benefit. Any Kohen and any Levi is not going to get benefit from me. So the fact is, we say that any Kohen and any Levi could come take my Trumas and Maisrus. So that means the fact that indicates from our Mishnah that Toivas Hanoah is not considered money. Ema Seifa. Let's take a look at the second part of the Mishnah. It says Kohanim Elu Levium Elu Nanimli. If I said this Kohen and this Levi should not benefit from me, so that means I can't give my Trumas and Maisrus to that Kohen and that Levi, but I have to give it to somebody else. Because if I would give it to that Kohen and that Levi, right, I'm deciding to give it to them. So I'm giving them a value of money. So therefore, I made a neder. I'm not giving this Kohen and this Levi any value of money. That's why I have to give it to somebody else. But Yitlu Acherim, Avalahani, these Kohanim, these Levi, loy, you can't give it to them. Alma, so we see from our Mishnah, Toivas Hanoah is mamay, that the fact that I can decide who to benefit my Trumas and Maisrus, that's worth money. That's why I can't give it to that Kohen and that Levi. I have to give it to another Kohen and that Levi. So what is it? Toivas Hanoah is not mammon, or Toivas Hanoah is mammon? So Omer Rav Hashaya tries to answer the question. And he says, Loi Kasha, our Mishnah is not too difficult. Why? Because you're right, it's a machloikis in Tanoim. And in one Mishnah, we're going to have two opinions, one after another. Ha Rebbe holds Toivas Hanoah is money. Ha Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda. And Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda holds Toivas Hanoah is not money. Listen how it plays out. The Tanya we learned in a brisa. Hagoyniv tivloi shel chaveri v'acholin. A man took the entire fruit basket of his friend that he didn't give off the Trumas and Maisrus yet, right? So he has, let's say, 100 pounds of fruit, right, that he didn't give off Trumas and Maisrus, and the friend stole it from him. So you have to pay Mishalem loy Dmei Tivloi Divrei Rebbe. Rebbe holds you have to pay the entire 100 pounds back because even though part of that basket, part of those 100 pounds really belongs to the Levi and the Kohen. In fact, 12 pounds belong to the Levi and the Kohen. 2 pounds, 2% belongs to the Kohen. 10% belongs to the Levi. So you have to pay him back the full value of 100 pounds of fruit. Divrei Rebbe. Because Rebbe holds you're stealing from him the right to give it to his son-in-law, the Kohen. So you stole it from, therefore you have to pay the entire hevel back. That's the opinion of Rebbe. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda, I mean, no. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda says, Eina mishalem ela demechulin shabai. You only pay back what really the guy would have kept, that what really belongs to the owner, which is 88% of the original basket, because he was going to anyway give 2% to the Kohen and 10% to the Levi. So when you're paying him back, you stole 100%, give him back 88%. So my love, don't you think? This is the argument between Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda and Rebbe. Let's go to Pehei Amud Aleph. The Rebbe, so if a Rebbe holds Toivas Hanoah moment, the fact that I can decide who's going to benefit, Hanoah means benefit, and I can decide who's going to benefit from my Trumas and Maisrus, even though I can't keep it, but I can decide which coin it belongs to, that's worth money, mammon. And therefore, if somebody steals my tevel and took away that right from me, he has to pay me back. And therefore, you have to pay back the entire tevel, the entire value of what you stole from me. So if you stole 100 pounds, you pay me back 100 pounds. Rabbi Yossi, but Rabbi Yehuda Sava, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Yehuda holds toivas hana eina mammon. The fact that you can decide which Kohen and Levi to give it to is not worth anything, and therefore, if it's not worth anything, so basically, what did the man effectively steal from you? Only 88 pounds, 88%, because you were going to give 10% to the Levi and 2% to the Kohen. And that's why you only have to pay back the Demei Chulin Shabai, the value of the Chulin that would have belonged to the owner. So therefore, here you see straight up is the machlokes between Rabbi and Rabbi Yosef Yehuda is toivas hanoah mamain, or toivas hanoah eina mamain, is not money. So the Gemara responds back and it says like this: Loi, not true. The Kuli Alma, everybody will hold toivas hanoah eina mamain. That's no value to decide which Kohen you're going to give it to. That's not considered as if you stole money. So then, why does Rebbe hold? Why does Rebbe hold that you have to pay him back the full value? Elahocho, the Gemara says over here, if you didn't separate the truma, is it as if it's considered to be separated? Rebbe holds you didn't separate the truma, and therefore in the maasros, so you stole a whole 100 pounds, return 100 pounds. But Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda learns that since eventually you're going to have to give up trumas and maasros, therefore we consider it as if you didn't steal that, because that was anyway going to the Kohen Levi. So all you have to pay back is the 88%. So the Gemara says still doesn't understand that. The e toivas hanoah ain't a moment. If the toivas hanoah to decide which coin you're going to give it to is not considered as if you stole money, according to Rebbe, mali hurmi mali loy hurmu. What's the difference if you actually separated it, or you did not separate it? You didn't steal anything. In other words, Rebbe is the difficult one over here. Rebbe says you have to pay the full value back. But why? You didn't steal anything from him, because the 12% of it, he was already doesn't belong to him. It belonged to the Kohen and Levi. So why does Rebbe hold that you have to pay the full value back? You didn't steal, and toivas hanoah is not money. Ella says the Gemara like this: we don't know if toivas hanoah is money or not. Hainu Tama the Rebbe. This would be the reason of Rebbe. If you hold toivas hanoah is not worth money, so why does Rebbe say you have to pay the full value back? You should say you should pay 80%, 88% back, because kansu rabbanan laganav, the rabbanan gave an extra fine to the ganav. Shouldn't steal. Look if Rebbe doesn't like what Rebbe Yossi Bar Yehuda says. Guy steals 100 pounds and he only has to pay back 88 pounds back. So Rebbe said, really, you're right. He should only pay back 88, but the Chachamim made an extra fine, a knas, for this person that should be a deterrent. He shouldn't steal, because we don't want a ganav to benefit from it. Or, really, you can say that everybody holds toivas hanoah is money. If it's considered money, then why? If it's considered money, then why would Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda say you pay back 88%? You actually pay back the 100%, because if toivas hanoah is money. Rabbi Yossi Bar Yehuda Sava, even if you hold toivas hanoah is considered money, so why do you pay back only 88%, not the 100%? In Asur Rabbanan the Balabayas, the rabbis made a fine for the Balabayas. He shouldn't leave produce that's untithed, just like that. So because there's a certain laxity on the owner of this fruit by him not right away giving the trumas and maasros to the Kohen and Levi. So because he didn't do that, Chachamim knast, punished the owner, and says that if it's stolen from you, you're only going to get back 88%. So the Gemara, again, at the end of the day, it's not really clear. Is toivas hanoah money, or toivas hanoah is not money? That's the Gemara leaves that up to the now, but we still need to understand the Mishnah. So that Rava explains the Mishnah. It's beautiful. Shanu truma is different. The hainu tamid the yitlu al karchoy mishum the truma loy chazia el kahana. The reason why in the beginning of the Mishnah, when a man says every kohen, every Levi, it cannot benefit from me. So basically, by effectively saying that, he has given up his rights to choose which Kohen and Levi he's giving the Trumas Amaisus for. He can't tell a Kohen and Levi, you can't take Trumas Amaisus. It's theirs anyway. So that is for sure theirs. So why is he saying no Kohen, no Levi can benefit from me? Because he's effectively, with his neder, giving up the right to choose which Kohen he's going to give it to. Because, so he just gave it up. They came into since Truma is only for the Kahanim, they came into Osri Lamesre Alayim, Savia Ba'afra Ba'alma. Since he put a prohibition upon himself, the choice to decide which Kohen and which lady he's going to give it to, he just gave it up. It's like he gave it like Hefker. And therefore, any Kohen and any Levi could take it from him. On the other hand, if he said this Kohen and this Levi, I'm not giving it to, so that he could do, because he's limiting it himself and saying, for this Kohen, this Levi, I don't want to give my Trumas and Maasros, but I want to decide which other Kohen, which other Levi I want to give it to. So therefore, in the second part of the Mishnah, you can't give it to that Kohen, that Levi, but you could decide to give it to other people. So basically, it's not subject with Toivus Hana's Mammon or Toivus is not Mammon. It's the fact is, did you give it up the rights or did you not give up the rights? If you prohibit every Kohen and Levi to benefit from you, that means you, maybe let's call it Toivus Hana's Mammon, and you gave up all that money, you gave up all that right to decide which Kohen and which Levi, and therefore any Kohen and any Levi could come grab it from your house. But if you particularly said this Kohen and this Levi I don't want to give it to, so you limited it to this Kohen and this Levi, and therefore, if this Kohen and this Levi, you're not allowed to give it to, but you still have the right to choose another Kohen, another Levi to give it to. Let's start the new Mishnah. The Mishnah says, if a woman says to her husband, Kohenim sheni oise al pi abba, okay, she says that I will not, let's say she says, I'm not going to make supper so your mouth, your father's mouth can benefit from. In other words, she asserted herself, she asserted Hana to giving benefit to her own father. In other words, her husband's father-in-law. Okay, how does that affect the husband? So we're going to learn he can't be made for that neder. Well, what happens? She says, Val pi avicha, I'm not giving anything, food or anything to the mouth of your father. So how does that affect the husband? It's just his father can't eat from her. Val pi achi, or she says, I'm never giving my brother. Val pi achicha, I'm never giving your brother. So she says, they can, whatever I'm going to make, whatever food I'm going to cook, they're not allowed to benefit and put in their mouth. So the Eina Yochel Hafir, the Mishnah says that the husband cannot nullify such a neder because it's not a neder of inu nefesh. That's not intense pain that she's putting upon herself, and it's not a neder that causes strife between husband and wife because that is not directly between husband and wife. Yeah, maybe it's uncomfortable, but it's not a direct strife type of neder where he could be made for. That's why the Mishnah says, Eina Yachal Lahafi, cannot be made for that neder. Now, let me ask you, I'm going to just point out, and this is going to be the bottom line of our Gemara today, is that a person cannot make a neder, what I'm going to produce is going to be aser, because you didn't produce it yet, and that's called davar shaloi bala oilam. It's not around. How could I aser something that's not around? It's if it's not here yet, if it wasn't born yet, I can't aser it. If I didn't create it, I can't aser it on somebody else. So how could she say the supper that I'm going to cook should be aser on your father? So the answer is that her hands, the neder is on her hands. She's saying my hands should be aser for making supper for your father. So the hands are here. So that's why the neder could work. But if she says, now, that's what happens. She says to her husband, my hands should be also from you benefiting. I'm never giving you supper. I'm never giving you any supper or benefiting you. Giving you that means the husband doesn't even have to nullify such a neder. She has no right to even make that neder in the first place because she's obligated to her husband to give him supper, to her Maisi Yadayim, whatever comes out of her hands is lien. The husband has a lien on it. He sort of like owns her hands, and therefore she cannot make a neder saying, "Oh, that I'm not giving you whatever I'm going to produce with my hands. You can't benefit from." So he does not have to be made for that neder. Comes along Rabbi Akiva, and he says, "Yofer, he should be made for such a neder." Maybe her hands are only leaned to the husband only for normal things that she produces with her hands, but maybe she'll go above and beyond, and with her hands she's going to make like a bonus thing, which is not part of what's meshubed, what's obligated to her husband, and therefore now we have to determine what is the bonus and what's from the original Maisi Yadayim. So therefore, Rabbi Akiva says just be made for such a neder, because so she should not do the hadafa, do the extra work, the extra bonus. If she works very hard to make a bonus, that bonus doesn't really belong to the husband, and the neder would be chal, would take effect on that extra bonus. So, but the Tanna Kama holds that even if she makes a bonus, that bonus belongs to the husband as well. So the neder doesn't even take effect on that bonus. But Rabbi Akiva says it takes effect on the bonus, and therefore you should be made for it. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says he holds that the neder takes effect, that does not take effect on the bonus. Actually, the bonus belongs to the husband. So her neder would never have taken effect in the first place. But Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says, Yafer, he should make for the neder. Why? It doesn't take effect. She had no right to ask her husband for anything, any of her Maisi Yadayim. So how does it take effect? Because the Mishnah says, Shema Yigarashano si Asura Allah. Maybe he's going to give her a divorce, and then it's going to take effect, because when he gives her a divorce, that means it takes effect, because really the neder should take effect. It's just hanging in the air. When he divorces her, that means now, after he divorces her, anytime her Maisi Yadayim and bonuses really belong to herself, and now it takes effect, and she's not obligated because she's divorced from her husband, so the neder would take effect. And then if he wants to remarry her, she'd be usher to remarry her again. Siyasura, because now she has this neder, and she cannot give benefit to her husband. So let's examine this Gemara. Amar Shmuel. Shmuel says halacha ka Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. The Gemara understands that Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri says that the neder could take effect. As we see, the neder does take effect. But how could it be neder take effect? She didn't make the supper. She didn't do anything with her Maisi Yadayim. She didn't produce anything. Remember, do you want to say, if Shmuel says the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, the Ksavar Shmuel holds, a person could make holy something that didn't come to this world. A person could answer something that didn't come to this world. Imagine my animal did not give birth yet. And I say that if this animal gives birth, the animal should be kadosh to the temple, to the base of Mikdash. So from the fact that Shmuel paskin like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, we see that Shmuel holds that a person could make holy something that's not in existence yet. So the Gemara says, Raminu, I'll ask you a contradiction. Someone says, whatever my wife will produce, right, it should be holy. She can do it, she can work and eat it. Right? She works, and whenever she works, she can eat from her food, because he's obligated to give over. She had no right to be magdashet, because he has to give her food. And if he's not going to give her food, then she should be able to enjoy her wages. But if he was magdish, the bonus that she gets, Rab Meir oime hegdish. Then Rab Meir says it's hegdish, even though she didn't earn the bonus yet. Adam magdish davar shalai bala olam. So therefore, the hegdish would take effect on the bonus that she's going to receive. Rabbi Yochanan says it's chulin. You didn't make hegdish anything, because the bonus she didn't produce anything to earn the bonus yet when you said the statement. So therefore, the Hegdish wasn't Chal. And Shmuel said, V'amar Shmuel, halacha Rabbi Yochanan ben Sandler. The halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Sandler. Almost we see from Shmuel, Ein Odom Magdish Davar Shaloi Bal Olam. A person has no right to make Hegdish something that's non-existent. So you have a contradiction in what Shmuel holds. If you paskin like our Mishnah, it seems you paskin Odom Magdish Davar Shaloi Bal Olam. And if you paskin like Rabbi Yochanan Sandler, Shmuel must hold Ein Odom Magdish Davar Shaloi Bal Olam. So how do we square this off? I explained this when we learned the Mishnah, that really our Mishnah is not considered a Davar Shaloi Bal Olam because he's Magdish the hands, and the hands are existent. That's the bottom line, Terence. But until we get there, we'll get there right very shortly. But first, the Gemara tries something different. The Chitema, would you want to say that Shmuel meant to say, when did Shmuel say the halacha is like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri? Al ha'adafa udekama. He's talking about the bonus that she gets, and the Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds like the Tanakama that the bonus really belongs to the husband, so she had no right to make a neder on the bonus in the first place. So then, if that's the case, lema halacha Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri b'hadafa. Rabbi Shmuel should be more specific. He says, I don't all paskin like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri per se. I just hold what Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri holds regarding the matter of the bonus, that it belongs to him. Not what he says that a person could make a neder on something that Davar Shaloi Bal Olam. That I don't agree with him. Or Iname, Shmuel should have said halacha ketanakama, because the source person, the source of the hadafa belonging to the husband is not even Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, it's the Tanakama. Or Inam, he could say, Ein halacha Rabbi Kiva. He should say, the halacha is not like Rabbi Kiva, that the bonus belongs to her. So that cannot be, what's the reason why in our Mishnah, he paskined like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, Odom Magdish Davar Shaloi Bal Olam. So answers the Gemara. First, the Gemara wants to say like this, that Nedarim is different than a Hegdish. A Hegdish, you're right. I can't be Magdish Davar Shaloi Bal Olam, but I could make a neder of Davar Shaloi Bal Olam. A woman can make a neder that when I make supper, your father can benefit from it. Why? Why can by neder be different? Rav Yosef explained, Elam Rav Yosef Shanu Kainimanis, a neder is different. We find by neder that even though you don't own something, you could asur it upon yourself. Let's say a friend has fruits. You can say that fruit should be asur to me. So it's not yours. It's because what is the problem of Davar Shaloi Bal Olam? Why can't I make a hegdish and Davar Shaloi Bal Olam? Because I'm not in the possession of it. Therefore, you can't be magdish something that you're not in the possession of. But by neder, even if I'm not in the possession, even if I don't own something, I can asur it. I can asur my friend's fruit on myself. So therefore, because neder has that concept, that's why neder you can asur something that's non-existent in the world. Because nedarim, you see it works, even though you don't own it, you could still asur it. So you could asur davar shaloi bal olam. Amalei Abaya, so Abaya said not true. You can't always asur something that you don't own. You can asur your friend's fruits on you because you're still around. You're still here, so you own yourself, and you can asur those fruits on you. And I can asur my fruits against my friend because either I'm here, and either my fruits are here, and I can asur it on my friend, or I'm here and I'm assuring my friend's fruits on me. Let's say I don't control anything. I just say, Reuven and Shimon, Reuven's fruits should be also to Shimon. So, and none of them, not the fruits and not the person I'm making the neder on belong to me. That doesn't work. So we see that a concept that if you don't have ownership on it, you can't make a neder on it. So that halacha should be the same by neder. That if you don't own something, you can't make a neder on it. So the halacha should be by neder. Ein odom magdish, ein odom make a neder on davar shaloi bal olam. So the bottom line question, we'll come to the final answer. The bottom line question is, how does our Mishnah work? How does a woman tell her husband, whatever supper I'm going to make, your father, your brother cannot have enough from it? How does that work? She didn't make the supper yet. How does the neder work? Ella, says the Gemara, Omrav Hu B'Rei Yeshua, Bo'emeres, our Mishnah is saying, Yikachi Yodai La'isayim. The key word is my hands. My hands should be usher to those that whatever is produced from my hand should be usher to those people. The Yodayim Ha Isnuhu Ba'olam. Her hands exist in this world. So she's answering whatever her hands are going to produce on her father, on her brother, on his father, his brother. So that's how that neder can work. But if she didn't answer her hands, she just answered the supper that the result of her hands on, then the neder would not work. But here she's answering the hands, and that's why it works. That explains our Mishnah.
Shikoyach.
Okay.
All right.